This conference will now
Special
be
Magistrate Code
recorded.
Enforcement hearing, it's 10 o'clock by Verizon's time. My name is Amity Barnard. I'm the Special Magistrate for this morning's hearing. First thing I'm going to do is speak about process of today's agenda items. It looks like there were quite a few at the beginning that are either dogs on the beach or parking violations, and then there are some standard maintenance, appearance standards, building permit cases nearer to the end of the agenda. So when you hear, typically the town calls the cases in the order they appear on the agenda. I'll defer to them. They may want to call who's here first. But regardless, when you hear your case called, you're going to come to the podium that's right in front of me here. The town will put on its case first. They'll call any witnesses that they have. They'll show me any documents that they want to enter into the record. They'll present any verbal testimony that they want me to hear. Once the town is finished presenting its case, you will then have an opportunity to present your case. You can present any documents that you have that you want me to look at, cross-examine any of the witnesses that the town puts on, and say anything to me that you want me to consider before I make a final ruling. Once I've heard from both sides, I will make a final ruling, and you get an order that reflects that ruling, typically in the mail after the hearing. So with that said, if you could stand, I'm going to swear everybody in who's here to speak on any item on today's agenda. I'm going to swear you all in at once. So if you could stand if you're able and raise your right hands. And the gentleman sitting down at the table, are you here for an agenda item?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Do you all swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, very good. You may be seated. With that, I will turn it to the town to call its first case.
Thank you, Your Honor. Christy Guy on behalf of the town of Ocean Ridge. Your Honor, what we're going to do first is call some of the citation cases because we have some of our police officers present and they need to get back to their duties. So the first case we're going to call is it's case 20-2538. It's item number 11 on today's agenda. The respondent is Brandon Salas. This is a dog on the beach first offense citation. Officer Ranta is present to testify. This was a case involving a signed citation, so there is no additional notice of hearing that was sent out. Do we have Officer Ranta present?
Yes.
Come on up to the podium.
And let me ask the clerk, I printed the agenda. Is there a,
Change a little bit.
do you have a copy of that you could give to me? Thank you. Mine are numbered a little bit differently. Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you. That's okay. My notes will become a mess if I don't start with the correct version.
There you go.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, your name, sir?
Officer William Ranta.
Spell your last name for me just so I get it right in my order.
Ranta.
Okay. All right, go ahead, sir.
So it was a dog on the beach violation. He was noticed by a patrol officer who was doing an ATV beach patrol. And I responded to meet the violator at the front of Oceanfront Park. And at the time, he was very combative and cursing up a storm. They proceeded to write the citation and left.
Okay. And I'm just looking through the case file here. So this is a citation that you issued. All right, and I presume the citation has not been paid, the fine?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And what's the town seeking?
Your Honor, this is a first offense violation that happened back on March 9th of 2025. So the citation amount is $25. The town is also seeking its administrative costs in the amount of $164. So that would be a total of $189.
Okay. All right, is the respondent present for this case? Seeing none, for the record, let the record reflect that the respondent is not present in case 25-038. Anything further from the town?
Your Honor, we would just move for the citation to be entered into the record showing that it was signed by the respondent, which includes the hearing date for today's hearing, showing proof of notice of today's hearing on the respondent.
Okay. All right, with that, in case 25-038, I'll enter the town's evidentiary case file as composite exhibit 1 without objection. I'll find based on the respondent having signed the citation that was issued on March 9th that the respondent had adequate legal service for today's hearing. I'll find based on the testimony of the officer as well as the documents that are in the case file that the respondent is in violation of section 62-28 for the first offense of the dog on the beach. I will assess the $25 fine and also the town's administrative costs for today's hearing in the amount of $164. The original fine amount is $25. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the next case we have is, it's going to be 3 cases with Officer Steele. The first case is case 2025-030. That is item number 7 on today's agenda. The respondent on the citation for a parking violation is Robert Nooner. This citation originated in March of 2025. Do we have Officer Steele present? We have Officer Steele present to testify, and we have the town clerk to address the service on the respondent.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your full name for the record?
Officer Michael Steele.
Thank you. And Ms. Clerk, do you want to get any testimony as it relates to service on the record before he begins?
Yes, we mailed this out on March 25th, certified, and we checked out this morning. It was delivered on March 27th. I just never got the green card back.
And that's the certified mail, the green stamp here that's in the case file, is that right?
Yes, that was that.
And you pulled up your testimonies, you pulled up the tracking number for that tracking
Correct.
number and it shows delivered?
Correct.
Oh, you have that with you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you want to include that in the evidentiary
We
case
can,
file?
yes.
Okay. Can I see that then? Thank you. All right, go ahead, Mr. Steele.
So this incident occurred on March 1st, approximately 4:37 p.m. in Hammock Park. While doing routine patrol, I witnessed the vehicle parked over and it hopped a curb and parked on the grass between 2 parking spaces. I do have a photo of the violation, if you'd like to see that.
Yes, please. Do you have it with you?
Mhm.
Okay. And this is the same photo as what's sort of on the citation there, just very difficult to see.
It's very difficult.
Okay. Thank you for bringing this one. Okay. All right, and clearly that's not an acceptable parking area.
Correct.
Okay. And you issued the citation, it was not signed for, is that right? You just left it on the vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. All right, is the respondent present for this case? Seeing none, let the record reflect that the respondent in case 2025-030 is not present. What's the town seeking today in terms of remedy?
Your Honor, I believe the clerk, the officer can confirm that payment has not been made.
That is correct.
So the citation amount is $40. In addition, the town is seeking an administrative cost of $173.68 for the violation.
All right, thank you. Anything further from you, officer?
No problem.
Okay. Case 2025-030, I will admit the town's evidentiary case file, which includes the documents that are on the screen, and I'll also ask the clerk to merge both this photo and your USPS delivery confirmation into the file so that that's all part of what I'll admit is composite exhibit 1 without objection. I'll find based on the notice documents in the case file, which include the USPS delivery confirmation showing that the hearing notice for today was delivered on March 27th, that the town had good service for today's hearing. I find based on the photograph in the case file, as well as the testimony of the officer, that the respondent was in fact in violation of section 54-2 and 64-46 for the off-street parking violation that's shown in the picture dated March 1st. I'll assess the $40 citation fine and also the town's administrative costs in the amount of $173.68.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the next case is item number 16 on today's agenda. This is also a parking violation issued by Officer Steele. The case number is 2025-043. The respondent for this case is Van Pelt Investments, LLC. This citation was not signed. However, the town sent the notice of hearing, which was received, and proof of service is in the town's backup.
And Ms. Avery, do you have any additional testimony?
I do not.
Okay. Officer Steele, go ahead.
Once again, Officer Steele, Ocean Ridge PD. The date of the incident was March 16th at approximately 2:59 p.m. Again, while doing routine patrol at Hammock Park, I noticed the violator also hopped the curb and parked in between two spaces. I believe this is identical to the previous incident. I do have a photo depicting the vehicle and a timestamp of the incident, and you'd like to have that?
Sure, if you have it with you, that'd be great. This one's a little bit more legible on the citation. Okay. And Miss Avery, just one question. When you're sending, what you're sending is the citation, right, with the hearing date on it? You're not sending a separate document, is that correct?
I just sent, and actually I just realized that I don't have my notice in there, but I do have the notices. I can pull them up if you need to see them.
Yeah, if you could,
Yes.
if you could grab those, if it was more than the citation.
It was, actually, I just sent it's a notice that lists the citation number on it, and it tells them what their violation is with a date to come.
With the hearing date?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, if you could grab those, and then don't let me forget, I need to reopen the prior case once you have that, and I'll add that to the record.
Okay.
All right, is the respondent present in this case? 0 for 3 so far. For the record, the respondent is not present in case 2025-043. What is the town seeking in terms of remedy?
Your Honor, if the clerk could confirm whether a payment has been made or not?
No payment has been made.
Okay, so the citation amount is $40, and the town is seeking administrative costs of $173.68.
On the screen, I have the notice that went out.
Okay. And I guess the agenda says 64-46. Is it really supposed to only be 54-2 on this one? Oh, no, I guess that citation has both.
Yeah.
Okay. Does the code say the same thing in 2 sections? Is that?
The code section, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, the agenda says section 54.2 and 64.46. I think the 64 is the parking code, but I just want to make sure I understand what the
Yeah, let me just- I'll
54-2.
double check for you, Your Honor.
So the 54-2, that's just, the actual code for off-street parking is not in our computer system. So we use the violation of town ordinance, which is the 54-2. And then we comment on the actual specific code violation that was violated by the vehicle.
So 54.2 is your internal
Correct. That's
code.
just-
Okay, so that's not a town
Correct.
code. That's your
Correct.
internal coding. Okay.
And that's just because the actual code is not listed in the.
In your system.
In the system.
Okay. And I'll ask you, Madam Clerk, to include that notice document in this evidentiary case file, as well as the photograph that the officer just handed to me. All right, in case 2025-043, I'll enter the town's evidentiary case files composite exhibit 1 without objection, which will also include the photograph provided by Officer Steele dated March 16th at 2:52 p.m., as well as the notice of hearing that was put up on the screen for this morning's hearing. I'll find, based on the notice documents that are in the case file, that the town had good service for today's hearing, based on the signed certified mail, which is included in the evidentiary case file. I'll find, based on the testimony of the the police officer, as well as Ms. Avery, that the respondent was in violation of sections, I'm gonna have the orders reflect both, just since both are listed on the citations, 54-2 and 64.46. I'll assess the citation fine amount in the amount of $40 and also award the town its administrative costs for today's hearing in the amount of $173.68.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, do you want to go back to 2025-30 now, or we'll do that at the end?
We can do it at the end.
Okay.
That's
I'll
fine,
just
thank
make a
you.
note to go back
Just
now.
don't let me forget before.
Okay. Your Honor, the next case is case 2025-044, which is listed as item 17 on today's agenda. The Officer Steele issued this parking citation. The respondent is MDC Medic Ventures LLC. And Officer Steele is present to testify, and the town clerk as to service of the notice of hearing.
Which number was it, I'm sorry?
It's number 17 on today's agenda, case 2025-044.
Thank you. Ms. Avery, any service testimony you have, or just?
It shows that it was attempted but did not get delivered.
That should be reset. Because they didn't get the service.
Madam Town Attorney?
Your Honor, unless there's a respondent that is present, we would ask to continue the case to see if we could attempt service again for next month's hearing.
All right, is anybody here for MDC Media Ventures LLC? Are you here for that?
Does that say 7-7 or 7-8? Like 178?
1787.
Okay, no, that's not.
That's not you? Okay. All right, so with that, you're gonna renotice it and put it on next month, so
Yes,
it'll be
Your Honor.
essentially pulled from today's agenda?
Yes.
Okay. All right, for the record, 2025-044 is being pulled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Your Honor, the next item on today's agenda is case 2025-026. It's item number 3 on the agenda. Officer Savo,
That's not.
thank you. is present. This is a dog on the beach citation issued in March of this year. And we do have a signed citation that's included in the back. The respondent listed in this case is Enrique Fernandez.
All right. Your name, sir?
Officer Sasov, Sasov, B as in Victor,
Any first name?
Alekesey. Alex.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, sir.
March 8th, saw a dog on the beach, issued a ticket, he signed a court date. He's out of South Miami, I believe, Pompano. Gave him a court date, told him show up, we'll pay the ticket.
Okay. And the fine hasn't been paid?
Has not been
That's
paid.
Is the respondent present for this case? All right, for the record, in case 2025-026, the respondent is not present. What's the town seeking in terms of remedy?
Your Honor, this is a first offense that happened back in March of 2025, so the violation fine is $25. The town is seeking its administrative cost of $164.
All right, anything further from you, officer? All right, in case 2025-026, I'll enter the town's evidentiary case file as composite exhibit 1 without objection. I'll find based on the citation that was issued that was signed for by the respondent, which had today's hearing date on it, that the town had good service for today's hearing. I'll find based on the testimony of the officer and the citation in the case file, or excuse me, the documents in the case file, that the respondent was in violation of section 62-28, that this is a first offense, so I will assess the fine in the amount of $25, and I'll also assess the town's administrative costs for today's hearing in the amount of $164.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Your Honor. Now we have our good news, bad news citation cases.
That one did not appear on the agenda.
We'll go to the top of the agenda, the case number 2025-025. The respondent listed in this case is Lena Harris for a dog on the beach. Is Ms. Harris present? Not present. Your Honor, this is a signed citation case. We would ask to continue this to the next hearing date to try to attempt to notice Ms. Harris.
The citation was signed or not signed?
The citation was signed. We have an officer issue today,
Okay, very
Your
good.
Honor. So
Very
we
good,
would
thank
ask to try to attempt to continue it for one hearing.
So that next hearing date is June 3rd? June 3rd, I think.
June 3rd.
Correct.
Did you say you officer? Yeah.
All right, in case 2025-025, noting for the record that the respondent is not present, I will, for purposes of effectuating service, find that the citation was signed by the respondent, but given the need for an officer who is not able to be here this morning, I will reset this matter for a violation hearing on June 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the next case on the agenda is item number 4, case number 2025-027. This is a dog on the beach first offense. The respondent is Patrick Frazier. Mr. Frazier present? No, this is a signed citation case, Your Honor, and so we would ask that for that case, that the case be continued to, because Officer Pylon is not present, to the June 3rd hearing.
All right, in case 2025-027, in reviewing the citation that's in the case file, which includes today's hearing date, I'll find that the town had good service for today's hearing, and because of the lack of attendance of the required officer, I'll reset this for violation hearing on June 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the next case is case number 5 on today's agenda, case number 2025-028. This is parking on a vacant lot. The respondent is Wilson Boo. Is Mr. Boo present? This is a signed citation case, Your Honor, and again, this is an Officer Pylon case who's not present. We'd ask that this one be continued to the June 3rd hearing.
And the gentleman that just walked in, is your last name Boo or Wilson? No, okay, you're with him, thank you, just wanted to make sure. All right, in case 2025-028, in reviewing the signed citation that's included in the case file, which included today's hearing date, I'll find that the town had good service for today's hearing, but given the lack of the required officer, I'll reset this for violation hearing on June 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the next item on the agenda is item number 6, case 2025-029. The respondent is Peter Goldstein. This is a parking violation. Is Mr. Goldstein present? Your Honor, we will dismiss this case as there is no signed citation in this matter.
All right, so for the record, 2025-029 is being dismissed by the town and pulled from the agenda.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, that takes us to item number 8. This is case 2025-033. This is a parking citation. The respondent is Patrick Gallagher. Is Mr. Gallagher present? Ms. Avery, did we get proof of delivery on this one?
It was delivered. Do you want that?
Yes, ma'am, do you have this? Thank you.
Your Honor, this is a Officer Pylon case, and we would ask that this one be continued to the June 3rd hearing.
All right, in case 2025-033, in reviewing the citation as well as the USPS delivery confirmation for the certified mail, and was this a notice of hearing, Ms. Avery?
Correct. I can pull that one up here real quick.
Yeah, if you could show that to me on the screen just quickly. All right, thank you. Just make sure that also gets in the case file if you could.
Will do.
Verification of delivery for the notice of hearing, I'll find that the town had good service, but again, given the lack of the required officer, I will reset this matter to violation hearing on June 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the next case on today's agenda is item number 9, case number 2025-034. The respondent is Sheila Walker. Is Ms. Walker present? Got a winner.
We got one. I wondered why you all were here. I'm glad to know you're not here just as witnesses for today's.
Good
morning,
news for you is we're dismissing this.
Thank you.
So thank you for appearing.
Thank you.
Appreciate
And you should buy a lottery ticket tonight.
it.
All right, for the record,
Thank you for
2025-034 is being pulled.
Yeah. Your Honor, the next case is item number 10 on today's agenda, case 2025-037. The respondent is Brenna Hubin. This is a dog on the beach citation. It is a signed citation. Is Ms. Hubin present? We would ask this one to be continued to June 3rd. This is an Officer Pylon case and it is a signed citation.
Oh, there's the court date, okay. All right, for the record, in 2025-037, the respondent is not present. However, in reviewing the case file, the respondent did sign the citation, which had today's hearing date on it, so the town had sufficient service to proceed with today's hearing. However, given the absence of the required officer, I'll reset this for violation hearing on June 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor. That takes us to item number 12 on today's agenda, case 2025-039. The respondent is Zachary Zagander. This is a parking citation. It was not signed. Ms. Avery, do we have service on this case?
It was attempted but not delivered.
Okay. Is Mr. Zagander present? All right, we will dismiss this case, Your Honor. Pull it from the agenda.
All right, for the record, 2025-039 is being pulled.
Your Honor, the next item is item 13 on today's agenda. This is case number 2025-040. The respondent is Effie Silika. I probably destroyed that, sorry, I apologize. This was delivered through notice of hearing. The respondent appears present. If you want to come forward. Sergeant Patterson for the police department is not present, so we are dismissing your case.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for appearing.
Do we have to stay after that?
No,
If you want
sir.
to. It's an open hearing. You're welcome to stay.
All right, case 2025-040 is being pulled.
We will dismiss it, Your Honor, just for the record.
Do you need a dismissal order or no?
No, we'll dismiss it
Okay.
internally. We'll note it in the
Okay.
file because our officer isn't present.
Okay.
That takes us to the next item, item number 14 on today's agenda. This is case 2025-041. This is a dog on the beach citation, Stephanie Ricada. Is she present? Not present. This is a signed citation. Our officer, Sergeant Parkerson, is not present. We would ask this to be continued to June 3rd.
Okay. Five, six, okay. All right, in case 2025-041, I'll note for the record that the respondent is not present. In reviewing the citation included in the case file, for purposes of granting continuance, I'll find that the citation was signed by the respondent with today's hearing date and time. So the town had good service for this morning's hearing. Given that the officer required to testify is not present, I'll continue this matter to a violation hearing on June 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the next case is item number 15 on today's agenda. It is case 2025-042. This is a dog on the beach citation for Peter Glenert. Is Mr. Glenert present? No, Your Honor, this is a signed citation issued by Sergeant Parkerson. We would ask that it be continued to the June 3rd hearing.
All right, in case 2025-042, for the record, the respondent is not present. In reviewing the citation for purposes of continuing this matter, I'll find that the citation was signed by the respondent, but given that the officer required to testify is not present, I will continue this to a violation hearing on June 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, that takes us to item number 18 on today's agenda. This is case 2025-045. Jamia Caviera is the respondent. Is the respondent present? Ms. Avery, was this notice of hearing delivered? It's a parking citation that was not signed.
It was attempted but not delivered.
Okay, Your Honor, we're going to dismiss that case. We'll dismiss it internally.
Okay.
Pull it off of the agenda.
All right, for the record, 2025-045 is being pulled.
I'm assuming for the next case, this is case 2025-046. This is item number 19 on today's agenda. The same respondent, Jamia Severia, was that delivered?
Not delivered.
It was not delivered, so we will dismiss that case internally.
And again, for the record, in case 2025-046, the item's being pulled.
Do we have Officer Nubia present? No, okay. The next case is case 2025-047. The respondent is Edith Bjornsson. Good news for you, we are dismissing the citation. Yes, so thank you so much. Thank you for appearing.
Thank you, ma'am. For the record, 2025-047 is being dismissed and therefore pulled.
Hey, Your Honor, this takes us, I think that ends our citation cases. And now we move into our regular code enforcement cases. Is that correct? Yes. So the next item on the agenda is item number 21, case 2025-020. The respondent is listed as Darlene Johnson. The property address is 26 Harbor Drive South in the town of Ocean Ridge. The citation is for work without a permit. We have our code officer, Steve Sheehan, who is present to address the violation in service, along with Kelly Avery, the town clerk. Is Mr. Sheehan here? You want to come on up? Maybe it might be easier.
That's fine, if he sits over there, that's fine, thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Just stand there just for me for a few minutes while the rest of the town's witnesses testify, and then I'll hear from you, okay?
Sure.
All right. You want to go first, or you want Miss Avery to testify about notice?
Testify, notice?
The item was sent out and we did get the green card to be delivered, as shown here. So it's sent out and left at her doorstep.
And what date did you send it?
I believe it was the same day that the 3/26.
Okay. And it was also posted?
It was not posted, it was left at her doorstep. Sorry. Where was I here? Sorry. Here it is, sorry. So it was left there. It's she did not want our code enforcement officer on the property. So that was what we were able to do.
Where is that? Is that like on this sidewalk?
It's on her front stoop, right in front of the door, because she refused it.
Okay,
She answered the door.
okay.
Ms. Avery, could you maybe provide some background to the magistrate on this matter?
Sure. This initially came about because Ms. Johnson had a variance that had gone through the Board of Adjustment, and within that variance hearing, under oath, she had stated that she went ahead and did the, part of her variance was for extending her balcony as well as a trellis. She had said in there that she had already completed the balcony portion of her order and had not received a building permit yet. So in her order at the end of the Board of Adjustment, I notated that she had to get a building permit. This was, I believe, back in November, December, that she had to get a building permit for the balcony that was done. And then the time we forgot to follow up. So when we realized that it still had not been done, I sent her the notice of violation. Well, actually, I had mentioned it before in a previous, because a contractor had reached out to me regarding this, and I had told him that it had to be done. So that kind of kickstarted it, and we did send an email stating that it had to be done by a certain date.
And that went to the respondent or to the
To
contractor?
respondent, in the
Okay.
contract, yeah. And so then she came in here recently and talked to us and got some forms signed to get it submitted. She has submitted an application. I believe it still needs a couple documents, but it has not gone for review. But she has attempted to do the permit for that.
All right, and code officer, are you gonna testify?
Yes, basically the only thing in this case is that I delivered the notice of violation and took the pictures.
Okay, so these pictures that are on the screen, they're
of the
pictures you
patio.
took?
Yeah,
Okay, and that's the balcony there that, is it just one on the second floor?
correct.
Yes, that one right there.
Okay.
Ms. Avery, can you explain to the magistrate what was done to the balcony, just so she has that background?
I'm not sure exactly what it looked like beforehand, but I know it was extending, I believe, out.
18
Out.
inches.
Yeah, so the variance included going out further than what initially was approved with the first building permit she had gotten when she first built the home. So this was to go out 18 inches and
And
everything
it's
is
still
pretty much in
not
town.
completed. I cannot sit out there.
Hold on just one second, let me have her finish and then I'll hear all of your side. Hold on just one sec, go ahead, Ms. Avery.
So basically, anything that you are building needs a building permit.
Okay.
So when we had an extension, or actually a change the variance hearing for the trellis that she was doing, she had mentioned that we had asked her if any work had been done, and she said yes, the balcony had been extended, had been worked on. So that is why we did this.
Okay, the trellis is not an issue in the code case though, right?
No.
It's just a balcony?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Ms. Johnston, now it's your turn.
Yeah, I hired this company, Palm Beach Pergola, back in March of 2021.
Okay,
He has taken over $43,000 from me,
okay,
and he is gone. I got this on March 26th from the town, and I was leaving. I had a vacation planned for a year with my 83-year-old mother. I went to Asia. The day I came back, I came in here to try to see what needed to be done. I've done everything I can do. I filed for a new permit.
mm-hmm,
I had to hire a new contractor for another $52,000. This has become a freaking nightmare, excuse my language, but it's over the top.
what's the contractor, your new contractor's name is what?
Oh, I have it right here. It's A. Ben's Homes.
Okay.
And then they want a new survey. They just told me that yesterday. I'm working with Bob Bucci, surveyors. I'm doing everything that I can to get this resolved.
So did you submit the permit application or did your new contractor submit that
They submitted it for me.
on your behalf? Okay. Okay, but it's already constructed in the photos, right? Is there any
It's
more work
not-
to be done?
Yeah, it's not even attached. I can't even put a chair out there. This man left it unfinished.
Okay.
He stole my money. I have no pergola. I paid $43,000 for it.
Okay.
And now I just hired somebody for $52,000 to try to straighten all this out.
Fix it, okay. What's your contractor telling you in terms of time to get just the balcony finished?
They're in the process of filing for the permit right now. It should be done, within as much time. It takes 3 weeks to get a survey because they're backlogged right now. And all the other documents they're asking for is in the process.
Is the town asking for the survey or your contractor?
They're asking for it.
Okay.
Though I have my old survey, which I have a current permit for that is expired, but we're renewing it. That's what I was advised to do, with the same survey that I had
Okay, and that's from 2021 or something?
from, a
Yeah.
while ago. So I don't understand why I have to get another survey and all of these demands that are being put on me right now.
Okay, let's start with the easy part. So the documents that have been scrolling on the screen behind me, do you have any objection to those documents being entered into the record? They're the notice documents for
That's
today?
my house.
Right, photographs. So no objection to that case file being entered? What's the town seeking in terms of remedy today?
Ms. Avery, how much longer do you think realistically it will take to get the permit?
Once the documents get in, I would say probably no more than a week to 2 weeks.
Okay.
It just depends on when we receive the documents, of course. So
Right.
once those get in, then it starts going through the process.
So Your Honor, what the town is seeking here is to make sure, since the work has been done, the town wants to ensure that this gets closed out appropriately with the permit and being finalized out. So the town would ask for 60 days to bring it into compliance, meaning going through the entire permit process and having a final on the balcony, to ensure for life safety purposes that it's been constructed to code, failing which we would ask for a fine of $150 per day. And the town has costs in this matter. Ms. Avery, do you know what the costs are? Oh, we have it up on the screen. $173.68, $173.68.
Okay. And when you say finalized out, you mean a final inspection completed?
Yes.
And the permit essentially closed out, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm not sure that that's gonna be able to be done. I'm just being honest. We had to order all new materials. All of that is gonna be coming. With the tariffs and everything going on, I don't have a date when
This
I
is just
can
for the
receive it.
balcony.
Yeah, I know. The balcony is not completed.
Okay. How long do you need to complete the balcony?
I'm gonna say until the whole project is done. And it'll probably be by, I would say, August.
So August 1st is what you believe would be completion of the entire project?
I'm gonna say August 30th, 31st, to be on the safe side.
August 31st. Your Honor, we don't have any issue with that, to have it finalized out by August 31st.
Okay. All right, and what I'm gonna do is just to make sure that your contractor understands that you still do have an obligation to get the permit in. I'm gonna give you the 60 days to get the permit issued, and then I'm gonna give you the time that you've asked for until the end of August to get the work finally inspected and the permit closed out. But that way, you can relay to your contractor that this isn't an open-ended, you have as much time as there is to get the permit issued by the town. That is a critical step, because I think it certainly is in your best interest to get this fully permitted and get this corrected. So I'm happy to give you all the time that you need to get it completed and done. My job here is not to be punitive, it's to ensure that you get into compliance with the town's code. So I'm certainly happy to give you to the end of August to get the work done, okay?
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like me to hear today?
No, just so you know that I am going after the initial contractor. I filed with the DBPR as well as I'm a senior, and I'm filing with the senior group because I'm trying to see if we can get anything back.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not the only one who's experienced that. I think there was even a news story as recently as last week about the state trying to crack down on contractors who go rogue. So filing with the DBPR is definitely a good idea to at least let others who may utilize that contractor know that you had an issue. But
I
that's certainly a
went to the
good
Better
idea.
Business
Right.
Bureau. I've done almost everything I could think of. I called and came here, but I was told it was a civil matter.
It really is, but you're taking the right steps to make sure that your neighbors don't have the same unfortunate experience that
They
you
even
have.
put a website up about him. He screwed so many people.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
just
common.
over the top.
Yeah, it's very common. I'm sorry that was your experience, but you're not the only one in that boat, unfortunately. Anything else from the town? All right, in case 2025-020, I'm entering the town's evidentiary case files composite exhibit 1 without objection. I'm finding that the town had good service via the signed certified mail as well as the appearance of the respondent here this morning. I'll find based on the photographs in the case file and the testimony of both town staff as well as the respondent that the respondent's in violation of section 6751 and 105.1 for the balcony extension without the required permit. I'm going to require Ms. Johnston to have a building permit issued within 60 days of the date of my order. And then I'm going to require that she complete and close out the permit that's issued on or before August 31st. In the event of non-compliance of either of those dates, the fine amount the town is seeking is what?
$150 per day thereafter.
All right, I'll assess a $150 a day fine for each day that the violation continues after both of those deadlines. So if there's any issue between now and 60 days from today with your contractor, make sure you keep in touch with the town. Let them know if there's some nuclear problem that was outside of your control, at least let them know what you're going through. Because I have found you in violation, I have to award the town its administrative costs. So those are also in the case file, which is on the screen right now. So I'll assess $173.68. But I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you have that more than adequate time, hopefully, to get that closed out, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you going to bill me or do you?
You'll get an order that I'll draft later today, and the town will send it to you. So once you have that, you can pay those fees, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next one.
Your Honor, this is item number 23 on today's agenda. The respondent is CPI Real Estate. The property address is 5019 North Ocean Boulevard. This is a violation of section 67-51, tree permit violation. We have Kelly Avery, the town clerk, to testify as to service, along with Steve Sheehan to talk about the violation, and photographs that are included in the backup.
Let's go to, did we skip one?
Oh, I'm sorry, did we?
Number 24.
Oh, number 22.
I'm sorry, 25, sorry.
25?
22.
Oh, I skipped 22, the request for the extension.
Yes.
My bad. Sorry about that. All right, we'll go back to case number 20, item number 22 on the agenda. This is case 2025-014. This is a request for extension of time for 2 Coconut Lane. The Craig and Lori Burkett, they were previously cited, and an order was entered finding them in violation, and they're here to request for an extension.
Okay, so there's a letter requesting extension. Okay. So there's no notice documents, it's just a request.
Correct.
Okay, your name, ma'am?
Lori Hooker.
And you sent the letter or email, I guess it's a letter.
Yes.
What amount of extension are you seeking, I guess, and what's the justification?
Yeah, the justification, well, I'll start with what you asked first. I'm hoping to get by the end of June, probably earlier, but I'm not sure in terms of the amount of time it'll take. I already submitted everything, paid my invoice, so just waiting to hear back from the town to continue on with the process.
Remind me, I remember your landscape guy was here, but
Yeah.
remind me, is this the driveway?
The driveway,
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it took a little bit of time to get the updated survey. So that's why I initially requested the extension. Since then, I've completed the paperwork, all the items required on the checklist, submitted it to the town. It's been approved. I've paid my invoice, and so now I'm waiting to hear back.
So when you say the paperwork, you mean
The building permit package. So there's like, I'm gonna say like 10 items on that list that need to be submitted to the town.
okay. What's the town's response to her request?
I believe Ms. Avi's been working on this
Yeah.
matter.
They have submitted everything. It is currently in review with the officials.
Do you know when they submitted?
It was last week.
Yeah, I was saying
last week.
It was last week. And then what happens, it goes through an administrative review to make sure all their documents are there. Once their documents are there, then we accept it, and then an invoice gets sent out, and then it goes to the officials for their review. And then it gets issued. So right now, it's in official review. I wouldn't think it would be any more than a week to 2 weeks for this. I would be good with another 30, 60 days.
Yeah, that 60 would be great, just in case if we get any snag. I don't anticipate, but.
Well, I guess let's talk about what was required for compliance. So this is 6751 and 1051. So issuance of the building permit complies her? Is that correct?
I'm trying to think back to the hearing on this case.
Wasn't the driveway was already constructed, right?
Yeah,
Without
the
a permit?
driveway was constructed. The tiles floated away due to the
That's
king
what
tide.
that's what I
Yeah, so we
remember.
had to excavate a little further down, put the gravel, use the same tiles again, put them just back. And so they're secure now, but not knowing, I guess, we didn't realize we needed a permit to do this, and thus, here we are.
Okay. So she's saying 60 days. Is the town comfortable with that?
I mean, I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Yes, sure.
Okay. So I guess procedurally, this one is a little unique.
Yeah.
So what does the town want, an amended order?
Yes.
Have her
If
waive
we
due
could.
process since there wasn't any notice, and then do an amended order that just does a 90-day?
Correct.
Okay. All right, given the fact, just procedurally, because there was no notice of hearing, you requested to be put on this agenda, so are you willing to waive any claims to sufficiency as it relates to due process and legal service, since you requested to be heard and I'm hearing you? I'm gonna grant you the extension, but I just wanna make sure that you're waiving any objections to service for today's hearing. Because there was no formal notice of hearing that was sent to you, because you requested to be put on this agenda.
Right. I'm not sure that I completely understand what I'm waiting. I'm guessing it's fine.
So, All I'm asking you to waive is just, so, and I think you've been sitting here the whole time, but
Yeah,
the first thing I do in all of these cases is find that the town had good service for
Yeah.
the hearing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't send you a notice, you
That's
asked to
right,
come
I asked.
before me.
so yes, then I do.
Okay, it's
It's just-
formality, but I
Got
just
it,
wanna make
yeah,
sure that the
thank
order
you.
reflects that,
Yeah.
because I wanna give you the additional time, but to do that, I have to have
appreciate
you
it. Thank
waive
you.
service, so. Okay, hearing that waiver, I will, essentially what I'll do is I'll issue you an amended order finding violation, assessing fine, and imposing lien. It'll be the same order that you got from the previous hearing. It'll say it's an amended order, and then instead of what the order previously said is that you had 30 days to come into compliance, it'll say you have 90 days.
90. Oh, got it.
You got the
Okay.
30 back
And
then,
then that, yeah.
right, and it'll be 90 days from that original
Perfect.
hearing date.
Okay,
Okay, and that original hearing date was
April
April 1st. All right, anything else you'd like me to hear?
no, that's it,
All
thanks.
right, anything further from the town?
No, Your Honor.
All right, in case 2025-014. I guess what I need to do is enter the requests. I'll enter the town's evidentiary case file. You don't have any objection to the documents, right? It's your letter and then the prior order.
Mhm.
I'll enter those two documents into the case file just so that your letter is included in there.
Perfect.
I'll enter that as composite exhibit 1 without objection. I'll find as discussed that you're waiving any arguments as it relates to adequate service for this morning's hearing, given you requested to appear before me and request the extension. I'll grant the extension, and I'll essentially issue an amended order finding violation, assessing fine, and imposing lien, which will be drafted to give you 90 days from the April
Perfect.
1st hearing date.
Thanks.
And again, if anything nuclear happens, like you heard me tell the last
Right.
respondent, make sure you
Yeah.
keep in touch with the town,
Of
just so they
course.
know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, and hopefully 90 days should be plenty of time from that hearing. Yeah, 64 days should be plenty of
Exactly.
time, but yeah, keep in touch with the town, okay?
Will do.
Thank
so
you. Best
much,
of luck.
Robin.
Now to 23.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This is item 23 on today's agenda. The case number is 25-010. The respondent is CPI Real Estate. The property address is 5019 North Ocean Boulevard. This is a tree permit violation. We have Mr. Sheehan and Ms. Avery here to testify on behalf of proof of service and along with the violations.
We had sent a letter out to several people regarding trimming trees and everything, for the power lines. So we had initially sent a letter, a courtesy letter to say, hey, you need to trim your trees. The defendant, we set an inspection date to go back out and make sure it had been complied with, before I issued any notices of violation. Our code enforcement went out to check and see what had been done. Instead of trimming, the tree had been cut down. So we then submitted a notice of violation, stating that the trees did not have a tree removal permit issued for that, which is what this is. And that was delivered, placed on the home.
So you sent a notice of violation on what date?
Oh, I thought it was on there. Sorry. 8th of April.
Okay. And it was posted, it appears.
And there's the tree. She has since then submitted I have lost the word, application for the tree removal. We did request additional information for that on the 3rd, and we've not heard anything back since. April 3rd, sorry.
Oh, and you got a signed cert by mail back too, it looks like, right?
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, Mr. Sheehan, did you take these photos?
Yes, yes.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No,
When was the tree removal permit submitted? Recently, or?
It probably was around like the day or two before, because usually we respond back to the submitted permits within anywhere from 2 to 3 days from the time that we get them. And this was on April 3rd, and we requested additional information.
Okay, so about a month ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, your name, ma'am?
Donna Horrigan,
Spell your last name for me?
Horrigan,
And your relation to the CPI Real Estate Inc.?
owner.
Owner, okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, let's start with the easy part. So you've seen the documents scrolling across the screen?
Yes.
Do you have any objection to those documents being entered into the record? Okay. All right, so you've heard what the town is saying. They're telling me that you or somebody on your property cut down a tree and didn't get a tree removal permit, is that right?
That's correct. May I give you some documentation?
You can. I'll ask you to give them to the city attorney, town attorney first, before I look at them.
My documentation actually begins February the 20th as a violation.
Do me a favor before you continue. Move that. Thank you, ma'am.
Better?
Yes, ma'am. Just give her a moment to look at those so that she can hear what you're saying and I can hear what you're saying, because I'm gonna look at them too when she's done and I know if she has any objection to them. Any objection to those?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so go ahead, you can explain these to me then?
Okay, Ms. Avery sent a very informative letter February the 20th stating that I should either trim or cut a Bismarck palm. A neighbor reported that this palm was dangerous. I had already trimmed the tree in January, so my thought was to accommodate and to eliminate the palm. I was of the thought process that I had cut dozens of trees over the years, and this one would be no different. The Bismarck palm is not on the list of do not cut trees. I was violated for cutting this diseased tree. We didn't know it was diseased at the time, but the name of the disease is Ganoderma. I think the ordinance states that a diseased tree can be cut. I was told that I had to request this cutting using a building permit. However, there is little relative information on the building permit as to a tree cutting. I have experienced much frustration and difficulty, not to say the least of expense. I tried to use a 2-year-old survey and this was rejected. A new survey cost $1,000. I failed to identify the location of the tree that had been removed, and that was another $600. The exact location of the Bismarck was not shown on the first survey, the second survey, but on the third, yes. On the day that I was to appear in court the first time, Ms. Avery called and relayed that they had violated me erroneously and that I should not attend court. The following day, I received an email that stated the links for information that I was to use to request permission to cut the tree was in this email. The 2 links had no information or had either been removed.
That's what these are?
That's a 4-3, yes. I realize code enforcement official is new and there's a learning curve in all positions. I've also learned that a Bismarck is not a tree, but rather a grass. Also, a diseased tree can be removed without a permit. Additionally, a city ordinance requires that homeowners cut coconuts before the hurricane season without a permit. Imagine my confusion. With all of this information, I offered to pay a fine between the first violation and the second violation to introduce some common sense to the costs that I was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're here today, I failed. So I am here to receive my fine and go away quietly.
So let me look at the code. What's the town's position as it relates to the testimony that the tree was diseased?
Your Honor, as you know, there's a Florida statute that allows for single-family residences to remove trees without permits if they're unhealthy, diseased, or a safety issue. This is a multifamily resident, so the Florida statute exemption and the exemption that's reiterated in the town code would not apply. We don't have any information about this tree actually being diseased. If a permit had been applied for at the outset with information that the tree was actually diseased, that would probably be a very different story. In this case, what we really have is just that a tree was completely cut down without a permit.
The invoice there from Loyal states the name of the disease.
So
And you wouldn't have known that until you cut the tree. The reason that a neighbor called the police and said it was a dangerous tree, so because I had already trimmed it, I knew trimming was not going to satisfy the neighbor.
what was their argument that it was dangerous? Was it hanging over into their yard or something?
The police responded to that. The neighbor called and said I accidentally called the police. So
Okay.
you see.
Your Honor, I
you see
believe
my
that
point.
goes to the original letter that Ms. Avery sent out.
Okay. There's a lot going on here, it seems. Okay. What is the town seeking in terms of remedy today?
Your Honor, is the city's, the town's past practice for removal of a tree without a permit, we look at it as sort of a, irreparable type of violation. Obviously, that allows for the town to go after a significant fine in this amount. Given, what is going on here, and if the tree was truly diseased, we would only look for a fine of $250, along with the town's costs in the matter, which are, I believe, $173.68 administrative costs.
I offered 500. Sounds like a good deal to me.
I say regularly, there is never a dull day in code enforcement. And today, I think, will be one of those days.
But I have learned if you don't show up, it's dismissed.
Well, be careful with that. That's not always the case. That may be an appearance problem. It's always better to appear at code enforcement. All right, and I guess, let me just ask the town, what was the prior hearing? There was,
It was, we had improperly cited them wrong ones, and when I called her, I told her that those were gonna be dismissed, and that I would be sending out a new.
so there was never an order in that case? It was removed from the agenda
We
or
took it off the
not
agenda
heard?
last
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a confusion because the town utilizes its building permit application for a lot of things, including tree permits. So originally it was cited for work without a building permit, but
But it's
technically
actually a tree removal permit, okay.
Not a structure, so we had to cancel that and then recite.
Okay. Okay. All right, can the town keep these documents or do you need these back? Okay. I'll enter respondents' exhibits, which include a survey, the letter that the town sent dated February 20th, 2025, invoicing from Loyal Tree Service, and land tech surveying, as well as URL information that's dated 5/3. I'll enter that all as composite exhibit R2 without objection. All right. And you said you offered the town $500 fine, is that, so you're okay with $250? Okay.
Thrilled.
Okay. All right, anything else you'd like me to hear today?
Thank you very much.
Okay, anything else from the town?
No, Your Honor.
All right, in case 2025-010, I've entered both sides' evidentiary case files. I'll find based on the documents in the case file with regard to notice that included an affidavit of posting and a signed certified mail that the town had good service for today's hearing. I'll find based on the photographs in the case file and the testimony of both respondent and the town staff that respondent's in violation of section 67-51 for the tree that was removed without the required vegetation removal permit. Because this is a discrete violation, which amounts to essentially an irreparable and irreversible violation, finding that violation, I'll assess a one-time fine in the amount of $250 for the irreparable violation, which was removal of the tree without the required permit. There will be no daily fine, just a one-time fine. And I will, having found violation, assess administrative costs in the amount of $173.68 for today's hearing. I guess a procedural question, she still needs to get the permit, correct?
Correct.
So does the town want me to establish a compliance date for that, or?
Since we do have outstanding requests for information, yes, Your Honor.
All right, so it's 30 days. Where did she leave? You're still there. 30 days, you think you can get that tree removal permit complied out in 30 days? That shouldn't be a problem, Miss Avery, right? That's more than enough time. Okay.
Yeah, as long as we get the documents, we should have no issues.
All right, so I'll have my order also include a requirement for you to have the tree removal permit issued within 30 days of the date of the order, okay? All right, thank you, ma'am. Best of luck to you.
Your Honor, and then in the event that doesn't happen, are we looking at a fine?
Well, I'm doing the one-time fine, so why don't, is it possible to do an order in this case that sets her for the June 3rd fine assessment hearing, a status fine assessment, just to make sure that it's complied? I don't want to do a daily fine because I think that's, you can't have it both ways. You can't do irreparable and irreversible and then do a daily fine. So what I'm going to do also, ma'am, is have the order reflect that if you do not have the tree removal permit, you'll need to come back to me on June 3rd. I don't think that you'll need to do that. Make sure you communicate with the town if there's any issues with the tree removal permit not being issued. If there's something that's outside of your control, you can come back to me on June 3rd.
I still have one question.
Come back to the microphone for me.
Is it a building permit? What kind of permit?
What the town is saying is it is the building permit application, correct?
We actually have a tree permit, and there's a tree permit application. I believe we sent that to you in the.
But that's the URL that said go to these links, and there was no information on those links.
It's our permit page, because I didn't want to send it to you. So I know it would go straight to our permit page, which lists every permit application that we have and a checklist.
But what she's saying is when she clicks on whatever link, was the link in the letter that she sent you?
2 links were in the letter, both were blank. Pages have been removed.
So can she go to the town's website?
Yeah, it's right on the website is what it is. It's just a permit page, and it's got drop downs, and every type of permit that you could possibly need is on there.
So since I've been here so many times and so accommodating to pay, you don't mind helping me personally with this?
I can send you the applications.
I told you, never a dull day in code enforcement. All right, so my order will reflect the status/fine assessment hearing for June 3rd. And at that time, if there is a daily fine to be assessed, I'll do that at that hearing, okay?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right, Your Honor, that takes us to item number 24 on today's agenda. This is case 2025-015. The respondent is Joseph Ziegler. The property address is 16 Sailfish Lane. We have our Officer Sheehan and Ms. Avery here to testify on behalf of proof of service, along with the violations in this case, which include a violation of Florida Building Code dealing with a railing on a balcony that is missing, violation of section 34-183, accumulation of junk, and section 42-1A5, garbage containers. And this was a case that was continued from our April hearing date.
All right, this is one that code enforcement noticed that the railings had been removed and a few other items. The 3 items that we did cite them on, 2 of which have been taken care of and they're fine. One of the issues that this one applies to is the guardrails have been removed from their balcony. And
So you're saying, I'm sorry to interrupt you, you're saying that the accumulation of trash and junk and debris is gone?
that has been taken care of.
Okay,
yes.
so the only alleged outstanding violation is the 321, 1 and 2?
Correct.
Okay.
So they've been removed from the balcony, and per the building official, he said that it's a violation of the Florida Building Code of those sections. So we did send a letter to let them know, courtesy letter, you have, to get this remedied. They had brought up a suggestion of putting a latch over the door. Building official said that was not sufficient, so he said that this needed to be done. We gave them time to get it done. Nothing had been done since then, so we had issued the notice of violation to go out, and that went out on the 17th of March. And I can show you, let's see here. So I did send them, they were supposed to be on, I sent them a notice of hearing. This is the balcony where the railings have been removed. And it's a fire escape issue, I believe.
So was this heard at the April hearing?
No, we had, it was inadvertently left off the agenda, and when I realized it, I sent them a notice, a change of hearing date.
Okay, so your notice of hearing, the new notice was from what date?
It was originally for the April 1st, and I had scheduled them on the May 6th.
Did you get the green card back?
I did not.
Was
I
it
just sent this
posted?
one, regular mail.
Was it posted?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a posting affidavit for the new one?
It is not in there now.
But the code officer posted it?
Yes, we got that.
All right, Officer Sheehan, did you post the property?
Yes,
Do you know what date?
March 17th.
Did you post the new notice of hearing?
No.
Okay. So it appears you have a service problem. So I presume you will be renoticing this?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So for the record, 2025-015 is being pulled.
Your Honor, the next case on the agenda is item number 25. This is case 2025-019. The respondent is Michael Dubose. The property address is 9 Ocean Avenue in the town of Ocean Ridge. The citation, the notice of violation that was issued listed section 67-51, work without a permit, and 64-44, fence that is too tall, the height violates the code section. We have Steve Sheehan here to testify on behalf of proof of service in the photographs, and Ms. Avery here to testify about proof of service.
This one, you wanna go ahead, Steve?
Yeah, that's the post, when I went to go post the notice of violation, someone said he was not there, so I taped it to the fence there. I got a call about noise and construction activity. So I went not onto the property because it was not that person who called, but one of the pictures was from the alleyway in the common area behind the house. And then some of the pictures are from the original respondent who called. And that is the fence there that my finger is pointing to. That is gravel that was done in the front yard with no notification to the town of the whole front yard.
Is that a permit requirement?
Yes, because yes.
So you have to get a building permit to put down
Because
gravel?
they had grass. That whole area was grass.
Okay. All right, so it's the gravel and then the fence is too high?
And one of the pictures there is from the alley. There, I took a picture of a ladder with some sort of antenna on it or something that looked not up to code. It was unstable. It looked like. I don't know where the picture is.
That one I didn't include because it had been taken down.
Oh, they took it down. That's right. So I'm sorry. Disregard that, I guess.
Mr. Sheehan, how tall is the fence in the photographs?
It's quite a bit taller than me. I'm 6'2". Just from that area, at least 10 foot.
And what's the code?
When I delivered the NOV to that gate up to the area where I didn't go beyond the gate because a person met me. I looked over and saw it. So it's a rock climbing wall. So there's little notches to.
Oh, so it's not actually a fence?
No, that's what the neighbor or the person thought, but it's actually a rock climbing wall with telephone pylons going into the ground that are at least 18 inches wide.
Okay. So is it on the perimeter of the property or no?
It's on his property,
But it's inside the property?
inside.
So it's not a fence?
No, it's not a fence.
Okay, but it is something that needs a permit?
It looks like a fence from the other side, but it actually, once I delivered the NOV and I could see it, it was actually a tall rock climbing wall. Two big telephone pillars drove into the ground to support the horizontal boards. And being that, we're all on the septic tank, and there's, drain fields everywhere, the Department of Health needs to be notified when you go into the ground, Ocean Ridge.
So are we dismissing the fence violation?
The fence, is that what you said?
Right, the fence violation. If this is not a fence, we have it cited for work without permits and a fence violation.
It's not a fence, it's a rock climbing wall.
Okay,
Without knowing that from the inside,
Yeah.
Right.
it appears to be a fence
Yeah.
from the neighbors.
so Your Honor, I think we're going to dismiss the fence violation because it appears that it's a structure that was installed without a permit.
And your notice of violation still says wood fence constructed without a permit. So you have it cited both ways, the same structure. I guess my question is, so there's two permit violations then, right, alleged? The rock in the front yard and then the structure, whatever the fence-like structure is. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. 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 Is the respondent present? Seeing none for the record, In case 2025-019, the respondent is not present, what's the town seeking in terms of remedy today?
Your Honor, we would ask for 30 days to apply for the permit. Failing which a fine of $250 per day thereafter. And we would also, it's sort of a bifurcated order, ask that the work be permitted within 90 days thereafter.
To a permit issued in 90 days.
Yeah. And then, if either one of those isn't met, $250 a day. So that if he doesn't get the permit within 30 days, the $250 starts running, then has 90 days to close it out. Doesn't get it, then $250 continues to run.
And I presume you have administrative costs?
Yes, Your Honor, it's $173.96.
All right, in case 2025-019, I'll enter the town's evidentiary case files composite exhibit 1 without objection. I'll find based on the testimony of town staff as well as the photographs in the case file that the respondent's in violation of section 67-51 and 105.1 of the Florida Building Code for both the rock driveway as well as the fence-like structure or rock climbing wall in the yard. I'll require a respondent to comply with those sections by applying for the required building permits within 30 days of the date of my order. And I'll further require respondents to comply by having that building or those building permits issued within 90 days of the date of my order. In the event of non-compliance of either compliance date, so in the event that the respondent does not apply for the permit within 30 days, a $250 a day fine will begin to run on the 31st day until compliance is achieved. Similarly, if the respondent does not have the building permit or permits issued within 90 days, that $250 a day fine will begin to run on the 91st day that the violation continues to run. Because I have found respondent in violation, I'll assess the town's administrative costs for today's hearing in the amount of $173.96. And I need to make a finding of good service, which happens via the affidavit of posting in the case file.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the last case on today's agenda is item number 26. And this is case 2025-022. There are two respondents in this case, Your Honor, CPI Real Estate and Philip Barone. CPI Real Estate is located as 519 North Ocean Boulevard, and Philip Barone is the owner at 52 Ocean View Drive. Your Honor, this is a violation of section 67-174 maintenance and appearance standards. There is a leaning wall that is on the property line between these two properties. And we have Ms. Avery here to testify to a little background on this case, also along with service. And Mr. Sheehan also available to testify as to the violation and photographs.
Who wants to begin?
You want to start
I'm
with
sorry.
history?
Yeah, this came in as a code enforcement complaint. Code enforcement went out there to see what's going on, took pictures. Because it was on the property line, I had to address both of them. They both claimed it was not theirs, but in fact a shared wall. So I sent him a letter saying, you guys are gonna have to figure it out, who's going to do this. I gave him to a certain date to do it, was not completed, so then I issued the notice of violation to both of them at the same time, stating that they both had a certain amount of time to get it done, and get this building permit submitted to get this repaired or removed. And then code enforcement, Sheehan, took it out there to talk to them. And they've both been in touch with me, trying to get it figured out. And I basically told them that they have to work together on this, that I can't pick one or the other. You know, I said if we received a permit application, we would take it. But if they couldn't get along, or not get along, but agree on what they wanted to do, I could not make that decision for them. So they were advised to come here to see what could be done.
All right, is there a permit application in?
No.
Okay. Who's gonna testify as to the dates of the notice documents?
They went out, let's see the date, same day here. On April 8th was the date that they were put up.
And did you receive the green card?
One I received back, but I know he received it because he got it in his hand. He did call me on it, Mr. Barone, and then CPI did. That was Mr. Barone's there. And then I do have, I believe, CPI's. Yes, CPI's was delivered on April 14th.
And were the properties both posted?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan, did you do that?
Yes,
And when did you do that?
April 8th, I think it was just on that. Yeah, April 8th. I don't have anything in front of me.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Who wants to start from respondents?
I'll let her go first, lady first.
You want to go first, or you want him to go first?
I defer.
She's deferring to you, sir.
We can't grant anything. Sorry.
So give me your name for the record.
Attorney Daniel Rose and Mr. Brown.
What's your last name?
Rose, like flower, yeah.
And your client's name?
Phil Brown. So if I can give you, were you gonna testify? I didn't know if you were, because you were not around. I was gonna wait for him.
Do you have anything else to add?
No,
You took the photographs in the case
I
file?
did take the photos.
Okay.
So kind of like it's a back history, this wall's been an issue. There's questions of ownership. It's now considered a shared wall. There's an agreement originally between the parties to repair the wall with a company called Alpha Foundation. They
Okay.
attempted to fix the wall. They put up some pretty heavy underneath, like you can pretty much put a bulldozer and it won't move. But the problem is the wall's cracking itself. It's an old wall. It's got to be, I would say, close to 56 years old. It's been there forever, and it's going to collapse any minute now. It's a big concern. So my client has been trying to email the other owner, Representative Ms. Horgan. No responses. He went out to the survey. He actually hired an arborist because they're alleging it's his trees, which is not. Then he hired a contractor who's ready to go, which he's willing to pay out of his own pocket the entire cost of his solution with a company who's ready to go. What they want to do is bring the wall down about 65% or so where the pillars, because here's the issue. It's like his property's here, their property's here. If the wall collapses, someone's going to get hit because it's like understand, I think the pictures might do a better job showing, you've got a wall, and if the wall collapses, it's gonna go right into where the next property is. It's like it's almost like on a mountain, I guess you could use that term. So the issue is that you can't cut the entire wall down, because what will happen is he has obviously soil, because it's there's grass, it'll just blow over. So by keeping 35% of the retained wall, which is basically where those pillars are, it's not gonna go anywhere, and he's gonna build a fence up to replace the wall, that would solve the problem. However, the issue is there's no communication from the other owner. I mean, he's ready to go. I've got stuff in here to pull permits and start the work. He's willing to pay 100% of it, have his contractors come in who have done work with the town before. His contractor has done work. He's spent money, working on getting everything done, the surveys to get the permit. The only problem is he can't do anything, and this has become, it's a life safety issue at this point. He can't do anything because if he touches that wall, if he could do it without entering a property, it would have been done by now. There's no way you can touch this wall without entering a property, and then she's gonna have him trespassed and arrested. So that's why there's no solution here, not for my client. He's spoken to the town, he's provided everything, he's ready to go. I mean, the initial agreement was that there was a wall that was gonna be repaired, he paid for it. In fact, the other parties had breached the contract because they never made the payment, the final payment, he ended up paying it. It's not about money, it's about someone's gonna die. And his solution is ready to go. He could probably pull the permit this afternoon as soon as he gets the green light, but without cooperation. Because what they want him to do is chop down all his trees, which have nothing to do with their property. The arborist has already done their homework. The contractor wants to, like I said, carve the wall down to safety. Because again, if you carve the whole wall down and put a fence, if the soil, it's soil, it's gonna blow onto her property. So, he has no privacy if the wall is just completely removed. And there's no safety either, because let's say a dog leaves his house, the dog goes a few steps, it's gonna land 30 to 40 feet from the wall, it's gonna die. Or he has a guest over and they take a step back. So it has to be a fence or wall there. He is willing to have his contractors come in, absorb the cost, which, it's really a 50-50 problem. It's a good faith thing, but his hands are tied. He's been ready to go since.
So let me stop you and ask you, you said there was an agreement between the parties?
Yeah, the parties signed an agreement to repair the wall, and they split the costs. And the agreement, I don't have the signed copy, they bring me the signed one. Basically, they agreed to split the costs with Alpha Foundation, which she didn't pay her half. And then it said here that my client would be entitled to keep his trees, and that he would be fully responsible for all repairs to the wall necessitated directly or indirectly as a result of his trees, which is not the issue. So basically, he's willing to take financial responsibility for this wall to be fixed, to be carved down to safety, to have a fence, and he's agreed to pay for it all per the agreement. The only issue is he doesn't have permission to enter the other side of the property.
So-
Yeah, he wants to add something really
Can I add a
quickly.
couple things for you?
Yeah, let me ask you a question before you do
Sure.
that though. Ms. Avery, can you scroll to the other picture? I'm trying to figure out whose side is what here,
Yeah, and you're looking at them upside down.
which is super.
Starts with
It's weird and-
Here,
I
right,
think it's
that's
allowed.
TV here.
Really?
He actually has pictures that are right side up if you may.
It should be easier for you to see,
Perfect.
and this too.
And these are the same photos as that, right?
Yeah, correct.
Let me have you
That's
show them
what
to
Steve took, but you're looking at them in a weird angle.
show the attorney first.
Yeah, these are the same photos you're using.
No objection.
No objection.
If I may,
So you're on the right side of this photo, is that right, your property?
mine is the green side. That's the other owner's property.
This over here is not you,
That is not mine.
you're on that side.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
So just to give you a little bit of history, I've owned my home for 40 years in the city. This is the first time I'm in this room and never been cited for anything. So for me to be here, I take pride in my property and everything, but this is a situation that predates my neighbor and myself. This wall existed before I bought the house 40 years ago.
Okay,
So it was incorrectly built. There's a 23-foot section of the wall that was not rebarred to the other parts of the wall. My property sits approximately 4.5 to 5 feet higher in some places than hers. So I did the math, there's almost on a 23-foot wall that's 8.5 feet on her side and only 5 feet on mine. It's a 23,000-pound wall. And there's almost 3 to 4 tons of metric soil on my side that have been pushing against this for over 50 years. And because it's incorrectly structured, it has nothing to do with trees. The trees were planted 30 years ago, specifically as non-invasive roots with a malleable root system. They're called Christmas palms.
Okay,
And I have umpteen different pictures to show you.
show her first if they're new.
Sorry.
You're okay.
If you look at those pictures, what you can see is, why isn't it affecting other parts of the wall?
No objection.
It has nothing to do with the trees. And I've had physical structure people come out, I've had arborists come out, and they'll all say the same thing, that the trees have nothing to do with it. The wall is incorrectly built, and there's too much soil on my side. The problem is, these are very tight-knit properties. Steve's been out there. You can't get a bobcat back there to move the soil on either one of our properties. So the suggestion that I had is, because in 2022, when the wall first started to shift, I suggested a company called Alpha Foundations. They came out, they assessed the property, they assessed the situation. We put 4, and Don and I agreed to the situation where we were going to put pylons underneath the wall to secure the wall to keep it from moving.
Mhm.
So they came out, they put the pylons in, but it never pushed the wall all the way back. It's a 23,000-pound wall, so it never went back into perfect place. And over the years, the soil continues to shift and move this to the point where now, as Dan said, it's a dangerous situation. This is starting to crack, and you can see, and Steve's seen where it's starting to crack. It's leaning more than ever, and my only concern is I hear children on the other side of that wall. It is a accident waiting to happen. So my suggestion is, and this is my solution, I've requested a solution for months. I've never received one. So today we're going to hear it for the first time, because I don't believe Kelly or Steve have heard the solution either. So we're going to hear it for the first time as to what their suggestion is. But I'm prepared to demo the wall by cutting 65% of it, which will take a large portion of that weight away. And because it's already supported underneath, the physical structure people that I've spoken to have said it's not going to move because you're taking away 65% of 23,000 pounds. So now,
When you say that, what do you mean? Do you mean cutting off the top of it? How are you going to remove a part of the wall?
so
Just so I'm following along
picture a
with the story.
23-foot wall.
Yeah.
Okay, 8.5 feet high, 1 foot wide,
Uh-huh.
23. So we'll literally demo it down to about 6 to 8 inches above my soil line. Because if we took the entire wall apart, Your Honor, all that's 4.5 feet of metric, 2 tons, 3 tons of soil would wind up on Donna's
Down,
property
yeah,
with no place
yeah.
to go. So the suggestion I have is, and what my contractors have suggested, is we take down 65% of the wall, take the weight off of the wall. If it moved any more, it would never fall and kill somebody or do any damage to properties. If it fell right now, it would do extensive amount of damage to both properties and potentially harm somebody or kill somebody. So if we take 65% of the wall, reduce the weight, I'm, on the same day it's finished, prepared to engage Bulldog Fence. We'll put a beautiful vinyl fence, the same color that exists on her side, so it'll cover the space. And I'm prepared to engage the contractor today. I'm prepared to put the permit in place today and engage the fence company today if this is a solution that's accepted by the court.
So let's be very clear about that going forward. We are getting well above my pay grade in
Yeah.
terms of technical details. My job here today is not to compel you to comply in a certain manner, nor to approve the manner in which you comply. My job in this chair is only to require compliance. What compliance looks like is between you and your neighbor and the town, ultimately the building official, I expect in this case, and probably some engineers, because this one is a little bit more complicated than most. But just so you know, I want you to understand totally, I don't approve, I'm not going to approve the method by which anybody complies. I'm just going to require a compliance date.
Right, here's the issue, I've been in front of special magistrates before in Delray. The issue is when we look at what you do as a special magistrate, you're part of the finding process is, someone's, mitigation or ability to, we're ready, willing, and able today, as we walk out here, I'm just gonna give you an example, to fix this at his expense, his dime, everything, he's got permits ready to go. We can't get into compliance because we can't trespass on the neighbor's property. And granted, you could argue, we're at a point where that wall is gonna collapse any minute. But I don't wanna put him in criminal way. I mean, she works for the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. I don't want him to go to jail because he's trying to do something that is really deemed an emergency.
So I hear that. So let me ask you, just both of you, a question. Who has a survey? Do you have a
This
survey?
one right here. You have the survey. I saw it. May I approach? I'll give it to you, Attorney.
Yes.
Yeah, so the reason that we're here is because if we're to demo the wall based on my suggestion, we have to put wooden braces on the walkway that's on her side of the wall.
Mhm.
So that when we're demoing it, we're doing it safely and we're doing it, and I need to communicate with her so she can keep people from walking there while we're doing it. So the highlighted area, Your Honor, is the area that is separating the two properties. And it's a shared wall. Again, it's something that predates both of our ownership. If it was actually deemed my wall, this would not be an issue. We wouldn't be standing.
Well, it still would be an issue because you wouldn't be able to enter the property, right? You can't, it's the way it's so thin between the two. You'd have to enter the property of the adjacent property to make the repairs, which he's willing to do at his expense. See, the survey is kind of like, it's sitting on both property lines, as you can see. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I think it'll be the first time in history, doing this 25 years, that someone's going to declare eminent domain for that wall at this point. Because it's obviously.
You should not even speak that out loud because one never does know what will happen in this life.
Well, we tried to look through the records and when Guy Durrani was here, and we couldn't find anything that said so it became deemed that it was a shared wall.
Okay. All right. Let me ask, anything else you'd like me to hear? I'm going to ask you to just step aside for 1 minute. And I'm going to hear from the other side and I may call you back, so don't disappear.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Attorney, Madam Clerk, Mr. Code Enforcement. My name is Tom Waldron. I'm here to represent Miss Donna Oregon CPI Division. I'm not here as an attorney. I'm here as a general contractor, so I'll offer some a bit of background and a little bit of structural details as to what this wall is and what needs to be done to correct it.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may approach Madam Secretary, Madam Attorney, to enter into the record an updated survey for the property and engineering drawings for the property as well.
Sure. Go ahead and show those to the town attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Got 2 copies.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be the survey.
I'm gonna take yours. There you go.
There's 2.
Okay. Your Honor, there's 2 copies, so we can get them together.
All right. Let me know if you have any.
Your Honor, I don't have any objection to these.
Okay.
Your Honor, what I asked to be entered in the record is a new survey dated March 28, 2025 of this year, and a set of engineering drawings from my structural engineers, ES Engineering. This will help depict exactly what the wall is between the north and south property. So we have what's essentially a 25-foot section of we call a demising wall or a property boundary wall, built in the, let's say, mid to late 50s. The wall itself is falling. It's not an incredible danger, but we can see movement in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 50s, we didn't have the structural engineering we have today based on new Florida building codes and or engineering codes. So essentially what needs to happen with this wall is that section needs to be taken out, because what's happening is that horizontal drift on the wall is pushing from the south to the north.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Brown's property is higher than Ms. Horgan's property. As Ms. Horgan's property steps down from the west to the east, there are steps in the hallway there between the building, or the passageway between the building and the wall. So essentially, structural engineers have come out and said the only way to effectually stop this wall from falling is we take it out completely. We dig a proper footer, which goes on Ms. Horgan's property line, set 24 inches in the ground. And the second page of the engineering drawing will depict that for you, Your Honor. It'll show you an elevation.
And just so I'm clear, because I
That's
thought
a
I would
survey,
see a
Your Honor.
different survey. This is your property survey.
This is
Your
Ms. Horgan's
client.
property survey.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
And this is the same as what they handed me, so they have the same survey.
So
I guess.
there has been some communication between the two parties, Your Honor. I've looked over the history of the previous work by Alpha, and I think there's been a bit of hesitation by CPI and Ms. Horgan as Alpha did work without a permit. They did, let's call it inefficient structural work. Generally on a stem wall or a retention wall, you would drive a helical pile into the ground, which would necessitate the concrete removal of the stairwell on Ms. Horgan's property. You drill down, you set the helical piles to a depth and a measurement prescribed by an engineer, which would be a report attached to that proposal by the Alpha Engineering. None such was done. So I think there's been a little bit of apprehension on Ms. Horgan's part of listening to Mr. Barone's solutions. I think we can find a common ground eventually between the two parties. We just have to figure out the only way to properly do this wall is to structurally remove it and redo it to support the pushback of Mr. Barone's property. So there is going to be, and Mr. Barone is correct, you can't get a Bobcat or a piece of machinery into his property on the north side, on the south side, and there's too tight quarters on Ms. Horgan's side to get a machine there. So it's really going to be hand dug and hand labor. So Mr. Barone's property does sit 4 to 5 feet above the elevation of Ms. Horgan's property. So there is push. So unfortunately, the structural engineers were described on page 1, you'll see on the site plan procedure note. I got to excavate a portion of Mr. Barone's property. We can try to save the trees. There's no promise that it can be done. We have to open up a section, dig down by hand, form up concrete, pour concrete, build a brand new wall, and tie the new wall, the 25-foot 1-inch section of vertical and horizontal wall into the existing walls to support the rest. And it's not happening on any other properties going from east to west. It's only because the property that Mr. Barone has, unfortunately, is just pushing on this one section of wall. It's mid-50s walls aren't built like they are today. So essentially, we just got to find a common ground. And like Mr. Barone, we did see the paperwork from the new contractor. We didn't see a state license. We saw no engineering. We saw no drawings, and we saw no. And we rejected PVC fence because you can't put PVC fence interposed as a concrete wall. So essentially,
You're saying there's a structural difference there between
a thin
right.
PVC, well, it's just common sense, between an 8-inch concrete block wall versus the 1.5 inch.
I'm
PVC
only a
fence.
lawyer. Don't assume it's common
I
sense.
understand completely, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm just a contractor with a law degree, so.
Even
I'm
worse than
my
mine
own
from my
worst enemy
chair.
at this point.
All right. So I guess let's take it back one step. So you're in agreement that the wall is on the property line. You don't dispute
Yes,
that?
Your Honor. Yeah, and I think both parties agree it's on the property line.
Okay.
So we have 8 inches, we have 4 inches and 4 inches with stuff on either side, so they each own a little bit of the property.
And nobody could find documentation as to how or who installed the wall and
Nothing
when
at
and
all,
whose
Your
property. Did everybody pull the site plans? Is it site plan on one property versus the other, or is it on both?
It's on both, as it appears on the site plan. So it's a shared wall.
Okay.
And, that was common, in the 50s. As I see in construction, especially the older municipalities, and places that have been here quite some time, you just kind of see that. And,
There probably isn't even a site plan.
That's
precisely.
yeah.
That's why we're going to build here and figure it out later. Yeah, so it's not uncommon, these newer communities, it's easier to figure out the site plans and the boundary surveys, but the older municipalities is tough.
And I guess just from a procedural standpoint, so the engineering and all of that takes whatever time it takes, but I presume that this is also required to go through the town's process for site plan modification or whatever. Probably, I wouldn't think from the single, or from the, I guess, the house, but the multifamily, maybe, I don't know. So that's a question for the town. What's the town's position there?
For any building permit that comes in, we require the survey showing anything, and then all plans usually require signed and sealed engineering plans when it comes to something structural like that.
Right, but does it have to go to the site, does it have to go through site plan modification?
no.
No, so just the building permit process, okay. Well, that's at least helpful.
Yeah, so we're, Your Honor, what you have in front of you is updated survey and a really stamped set of engineering plans came out press this last week. So we're ready to move and mobilize, but we need to figure out, like I said, we got to find a common ground between the two parties to, Mr. Brilliant has already offered to pay for the whole thing, which he says in emails, and of course he testified today. We just got to figure out what the budget is and move forward with it. If Mr. Brilliant will allow us to pull the wall down, excavate by hand, non-invasive with machinery, that is, build the wall back, we can figure out our costs from there.
Okay. Let me ask while you're standing there, and then I'm gonna call the other side back, and hopefully have you stand next to each other.
Yeah, we're there's no animosity here. I'm just a dumb contractor,
Think
you
we
know?
can get there,
So-
at least hearing both sides?
The issue
Come on,
is
counsel.
his proposal is cost prohibitive. Because if they wanted to pay 100%, I'm sure he's got a $40,000-$50,000 wall invoice. He's not.
What proposal have you seen, counsel?
You just told me you're gonna knock it down and rebuild an entire wall. It's gonna be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 versus 10 to 12.
You jumped to conclusions, I believe.
Well, well, then tell them what your estimate is.
I have no estimate yet, I just got the engineering drawings.
All right, let me hear from the town, and.
No, I just have a question for him, because he's saying remove the wall.
Hold on, let me
I'm
ask from the town.
Your
What is
Honor,
the
our
town
position
seeking?
has always been, we don't care how it gets done. Once they get the building permit, we're out of it. That's all we want is to see progress on having this fixed.
And how much time are you seeking to give, or to ask me to give them to come up with a solution?
Your Honor, I think since both sides have different plans that they could come in immediately to get potentially a permit, I would say no more than 60 days.
How does that work, permit-wise? Do both parties sign the same permit, or
It's a great
are
question.
there two applications?
Your Honor, in this case, what we would do is if either party applied, we would sign off on it. Ultimately, you know, we've kind of struggled with this. Is this like a civil issue? Should we even step into this issue? Since nothing was happening, we stepped into the issue. But in this case, with a wall that's on the property line, if one of them came in for a building permit, we would issue it.
And the permit, I guess, would have to reflect both addresses since they're.
Would that be two NOCs with notice of commencements?
I don't
Two-
know that.
so
That's a building official probably question.
We'll talk to Hyberg, I guess. Give Mike a call.
And there's no issue from the town's perspective with the wall staying on the property line with permitting it, replacement as is, if that's what the parties come up with in terms of agreement. I just want to make sure I'm not compelling them to do something by a certain date and then they apply and the town says, this can't happen this way, that's not where we are.
Yeah, and ultimately, if there's an issue with our building official and has trouble with it, you know, obviously, we're open to giving them extension, more time to figure out any kind of building official issues. But
Okay.
we just want to see some sort of movement besides just the wall.
If I may, I think it's a.
No pun intended, but sort of a wall pun there, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
If I may, I think it's in both parties' interest as we approach the wet season, this rainy season, to kind of come to an agreement with one another. A PVC fence is not going to hold anything back. We need to put something that's going to be structurally sound to create separation between the two properties and kind of essentially put it back as it was, but better, as opposed to trying to find some cheap remedy with an unlicensed contractor to put a PVC fence and cut a wall down. It doesn't stop the dirt flow. What we have to keep in mind now is, we do a PVC fence, there's no clear delineation of, you know, what's going to fall beneath it. So when it rains and it starts to fall north, it's just going to flood and mud up this pathway between the two structures. So we have to find a way to creatively get this done.
Opinion.
Yeah, that's the one. So I mean, so just to clarify, you're giving 60 days to submit a permit, I guess, right?
Well, I'm not giving them, I'm giving both of you.
Right, both, that's what I'm saying.
Right,
yeah.
so
I mean,
this
I'm
is-
I don't know neither property. I got my own property. But I'm just saying it's 60 days to get a permit.
I haven't made a ruling, but that's what the town is asking me to give both parties. That certainly seems like a reasonable amount of time to me. I understand that you have to, you know, there's been some communication, there needs to continue to be some more communication. I guess let me ask the town, the way this was cited, it appears that this is going to be a one order, correct? That is sent, that has both addresses,
Yes.
one case number, and is sent to both parties?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so given that, what I need to do is we need to be in agreement on the evidentiary case file. So let me ask, what else do I have here? Just this stuff. Contractor, your address is what, 50, your client's address is 52
That's correct, John.
Ocean View?
5019. North
No,
Ocean Road.
5019. And counsel, you handed me photographs, right?
Yeah, you can have those.
I just gotta find them.
They were so well taken, you know. Back, I know they want to keep them.
You couldn't have gotten too far here.
You still have those- you have those-
Here they are, here they are, here they are.
Okay.
I'm just gonna mark them so that we are clear. Have you, Mr. Contractor, have you given him the copies of the documents that you gave to me?
I will give counsel a copy.
Here.
So I'm gonna enter both sides' evidence. This is a little bit unique in that there are two of you on the same case. But so the record is clear, I'm going to put the addresses. 52.
Yeah.
And both of you have seen the documents that Miss Avery put on this screen behind me. Do you have any objection to those documents?
I don't, Your Honor. They're not a great depiction of the property, but.
It's the notice documentation as well.
It's tough.
All right, counsel, do you have any objection to those?
None whatsoever.
Okay. So with that, just so the record is clear. In case number 2025-022, I'm going to enter the town's evidentiary case files composite exhibit 1 without objection by either party. I'm also going to enter into the record as composite exhibit R2, a survey that was handed to me by counsel, as well as photographs of the property and an email communication dated January 18th, 2024. I'm going to enter that into the record as part of composite exhibit R2. I'm also going to enter in the survey that was provided to me by Mr. Waldron, as well as the engineering drawings that were provided to me by Mr. Waldron, which are dated 4/21/25. The survey is dated
It was 325. I see it fell. I saw it there, 325.
3/26/25. Thank you. So I'm going to enter that also in as composite exhibit R2. All right, now all the documents are in. The town will keep these as part of its case file. Now I'm going to give both of you one last final opportunity to say anything else you'd like me to
No, I think
hear.
it's all been said.
Okay, anything further from you, sir?
Your Honor, I would tell the counsel, Mr. Brown, they can take the engineering plans and have their contractor, put their numbers to it. We'll just slowly communicate, get things moving forward.
Okay, anything else from you, Counselor?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
What is the town seeking in terms of a fine in the event of non-compliance?
Your Honor, the town would ask for $250 per day fine amount after 60 days. Obviously, we are open to extension of times as long as they're showing a good faith effort towards working towards getting that building permit issued. We're not going to, at this time, seek a time limit on final completion of the project.
So they can operate under the state law?
Under the building code
Okay.
requirements, but we would like to start with the 60-day. And if we run into issues through the building process, we will open to extension. Just let us know prior to the 60-day running.
And that's 60 days, so just so both parties are clear, that's permit issuance.
That's permit issuance.
Okay.
Yep.
And then my little, whatever this computer thing is, died. Can you show me the administrative costs? I presume you have administrative costs for
We
today?
do. I don't think they were in the backup though.
I slacked this time around.
Such a light agenda, I can't imagine what the problem is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, 26 cases, right?
What's the standard agenda, like 4 or 5 or
Yeah.
7 or something?
2.
It's that time of year. Yeah, I don't see it on there. There we go.
21392.
Now, how's that
Your
done?
Honor, perhaps the order could reflect splitting those costs.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a split.
No objection from the parties on that?
No, so it's like 116. Forget my math.
It's gonna make me do math now.
No objection.
116, 49, 99 or something.
10696.
There we go. So, when's that due?
Within, I think the order says within 30 days.
Yeah, they'll send out, they always set the order and then write a check for them.
All right, so we've dealt with the easy stuff. All right, nothing further from both
No,
parties?
I think we're
Anything further from the town?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
All right,
Okay, we'll look at
let me make a final ruling on the record, and then you'll get an order that hopefully reflects this all correctly. In case 2025-022, I've entered both exhibits, respective exhibits without objection by either party. I'll find based on the notice documents in the case file, which also include this USPS delivery confirmation as it relates to CPI Real Estate Inc.'s notice, which Ms. Avery is going to add to the case file, as well as the affidavit of posting for the other respondent, Phil Barone, that the town had good service for this morning's hearing. I'm going to find based on the evidence that's been admitted into the evidentiary case file, as well as the testimony of both parties and town staff, that the respondents are in violation of section 67-174, maintenance and appearance standards for the wall that is in disrepair, that is on the property line of both parties, and that both parties have agreed that that is not in dispute. I'm going to require respondents to comply with that section by having a permit applied for and ultimately issued by the town within 60 days of the date of my order. That will, as we've discussed here, again, I'm not going to compel the method of compliance. I'm just requiring that you have a permit issued by the town within those 60 days. You'll obviously need to work together in that 60-day period to get that done. That's plenty of time to get a building permit, but there is some obligation on both of your parts in terms of working together to get that permit. In the event of non-compliance, in the event the permit is not issued within 60 days, a $250 a day fine will be assessed beginning on the 61st day, and that'll continue to run until compliance is achieved in this matter. Because I have found both respondents in violation of the listed code section, I'm going to assess the town's administrative costs in the amount of $213.92. The order will reflect that half of that amount, 106. I wrote that down wrong. 106.96 is payable by each party within 30 days of the date of my order. So I wish you the best of luck. This one is a complicated one. My hope is that you can work together to get a solution and get the permit by the required timeline, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. And now I think we need to go back to,
Yes, Your Honor. Case 2025-03, which is,
number 7.
yes. To the respondent is Robert Nooner. This is the parking violation. We do have proof of service, which I believe is also on the screen to include that.
That's what we were adding, that's what needed to be added, was a
Yeah.
notice of hearing, right? You had USPS delivery confirmation,
Yes.
but I'll reopen 2025-030 for the purpose of adding the notice of violation, which I have reviewed now, to the evidentiary case file. And I'll confirm again based on the USPS tracking confirmation. that the town service was sufficient. I'll ask the clerk to include that notice of hearing in the case file. And with that, no other changes to my ruling in that case. And then, because I seem to always do it, I need to go back to the minutes that I buzzed over right when we started. So I did review the minutes in advance of the hearing, and I'll approve those minutes of April 1st as drafted. And then I'll ask the town if there's anything further to be heard.
No, Your Honor, that's it.
I will adjourn this hearing at 12:15.
Thank you, Your Honor.